It's 2 a.m. Your body is lying completely still. The whole house is silent, and by every measure, the day is over. But your mind is still running, still locked on to that conversation from this morning, still replaying every word, still asking why you said it the way you did, what they actually thought, and whether something came across wrong. Nothing even happened. The day was completely normal, and yet your mind simply will not let it go. That's what thinking too much actually looks like. Not someone falling apart, someone who seems completely fine from the outside, shows up, gets things done, smiles when they're supposed to. But inside, a conversation that ended hours ago is still running, still being taken apart, still being examined for everything that could have gone differently. And this doesn't happen once in a while. It happens every single time. Every conversation becomes something to revisit. Every silence feels like it means something. Every small moment gets filed away and pulled back out later. And here's what makes it so hard to recognize. It doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like being responsible, like being careful, like being the kind of person who actually pays attention. Right up until the moment you realize your mind hasn't been quiet in years. A mind that thinks too much isn't weak. It's overactive. There's a difference. It's always scanning, always processing, always searching for the angle that makes everything make sense. The problem was never the thinking. The problem is that the off switch was never installed. And that almost always traces back further than people expect. For most people who think this way, it starts in childhood, in environments where stability wasn't guaranteed, where the mood in a room could shift without warning and without reason, where a young brain learned very quickly, if I stay alert enough, pay attention closely enough, think fast enough, I can see it coming before it arrives. That felt like control. In many ways, it worked. The brain filed that away. Thinking ahead equals safety. Preparing for everything equals protection. That logic made sense. That logic worked. The problem is, the brain never stopped applying it. The situation changed completely, but the habit is still running on the same schedule. This is where it splits into two. Sometimes the thinking is real. You're genuinely processing something. A feeling that needs to land somewhere. A situation that needs to be understood. This version is actually one of your greatest strengths. It's why you pick up on things others miss entirely. It's why people feel truly heard when they talk to you. But then there's the other kind, where you're not moving toward anything. Same thought, same loop, no exit. A conversation from 3 days ago, a decision that should take 5 minutes, a message that took slightly too long to arrive, and now your mind is running 10 different explanations for why. And the cruelest part? It feels exactly like the first kind. The mind is busy, it feels like progress, but nothing is actually moving. Psychologists call this the illusion of mental progress. Thinking that feels like working, but isn't. Here's why stopping feels almost impossible. The brain doesn't need a resolution to feel rewarded. Just running through the scenario one more time, just thinking about it again, gives it enough to keep going. Not for finding an answer, just for the act of thinking itself. So it thinks and keeps going. And because it's been doing this for so long, it doesn't feel like a habit anymore. It feels like personality. It feels like just the way you are. That's what makes it so invisible. You're not choosing to overthink. You're just living inside a pattern that formed before you were old enough to question it. But here's what this pattern actually says about who you are. The people who think the most are almost always the people who feel the most. They sense the shift in someone's mood before a word is spoken. They remember things others forget. They carry the weight of interactions long after everyone else has moved on. The same mind that exhausts you is the same mind that understands people in ways most others simply never will. But when you notice everything, you carry everything. And the more you carry, the further peace gets. Because the truth is, you cannot think your way through everything. Some things don't need more analysis. They need a decision. Or they simply need to be let go. And letting go feels dangerous to a brain that was built on always staying one step ahead. What actually helps isn't silencing the thoughts. Fighting them only makes them louder. What helps is learning to watch them instead of becoming them. Instead of, I have to figure this out right now, it becomes, there goes my brain again. One small step of distance. That's where everything begins to shift. Because this was never a flaw. This was never weakness. This is what happens when a deeply feeling mind learns early that staying alert is how you survive, and is never told that the danger has passed. The goal isn't to think less. The goal is to slowly show that part of your mind that what it's been preparing for is no longer coming, that it did its job, that it kept you safe, and that it is finally, after all this time, allowed to rest.